So you don't need to make it perfect. And what I love when you do the workouts, you always say, make it
Really,
ugly.
but they always told me in every single studio, Luuk, you talk too much. There's too much storytelling. It goes too deep. We don't want to hear about dying in
That
your
is the
class.
best part.
Just be happy in your class and don't go too deep. I created a limiting belief I'm not good enough. And I need other people to validate me. And that's exactly the reason why I became an actor and a dancer, because I had literally full theaters and an audience that would applaud me.
I did it years ago, was in my mid-20s, going through a lot of anxiety, panic attacks, depression. I was at my lowest, and even though that was the first year of our business and everything was great, we made our first million, I just got married. Like, again, on the outside, I was like living the life of my dreams, or starting to live that life, and on the inside, I was the most anxious, depressed.
I'm getting a little bit emotional when I think about it. The poem said, it was in Dutch, I'm gonna translate. For my future famous son, who you are on the outside doesn't count, but who you are on the inside is everything who you are.
Hello, my beautiful friends, and welcome to Mimi Ikonn podcast. I am so grateful to have a very special guest today, Luuk Melisse. You are someone who embodies intensity, presence, and purpose in such a unique way. This is something I really admire about you, as well as whenever you enter any space, there's this energy about you. And I think that's what all of us, I'm someone who is lucky to call you my friend. So all of us that know you in real life, as well as your students that come to your classes, absolutely love your energy. And for those of you that are familiar with Luuk, you probably know him as co-founder of Sanctum. It's an experience, a workout experience, but it goes well beyond fitness. It's something that combines music and movement and release, again, in a very unique way. I still remember my first Sanctum class years ago.
When was the first time?
Gosh, it must have been, it was in a church here. I think it was your first Sanctum experience at a church somewhere far. I just remember being in an Uber for ages. I went with my friend Sammy.
You went to the first
Yes, it was
one.
first with all the beautiful real candles, like magical. And I was in a place in my life where I was faced with a lot of fear. And I was very paranoid and skeptical and afraid, for lack of other words. Can I handle it? What is this experience? I didn't know who you guys were. You and Gab are both co-founders of Sanctum Experiences. And I arrived there and I promised myself I'll give it my all. And I remember throughout the experience, I cried, I laughed, I felt peace, I felt fear as well. And I felt so much lighter at the end that I was like, I'm sorry, what was this? What is this thing? And I've been hooked ever since. And I'm so grateful that that's how we met, is me attending one of your beautiful experiences. And then, of course, you and Gab were part of our Intelligent Change summits in Ibiza, and we've become friends over the years. And what I like to uncover on my podcast here, obviously, I'm always inspired by what my, the guests of my podcast do in life, and doing is great. However, what I'm more inspired about in humans that I know is what we embody. And you embody so many qualities that I adore and I would like to embody. As I have mentioned, presence, discipline, authenticity, right? Like you are someone who just who you are, and you own that. You own who you are. So first of all, thank you again for being here.
Well, I want to say thank you for having me. It's a huge honor, and it feels I was on my way here. And it's funny that you mentioned the first time you joined Sanctum, because I remember the first time you joined Sanctum very well, because I was speaking with Gav about this influencer, this amazing, huge influencer, Bibi Ikonn is joining. How cool. And now we are here a few years later, and I'm really, really lucky to call you one of my friends. So yeah, really happy to be here with you.
It's so amazing that you remember it, because now I'm remembering that you were so nervous that day. And look how far you've come along. I completely forgot that part is that you were so vulnerable at the end of the experience. You said, hey, this is my first time doing this in London. I was so nervous. And look, I did it. And that was so empowering, I think, for all of us on the other side. Because when you're part of something, maybe you go to a workshop or an event and someone is on stage, or a class or an experience, you see that person almost as an authority.
Yeah.
They are leading you, you're allowing them to lead you, you surrender in the experience. So you assume that they are perfect in some way, or again, they are an authority. But in reality, what I loved, this humbleness that you embodied as well, where you said, I'm no better than you. I had my own fears coming in here. I was freaking out. And look, I faced my fear. I did it.
Yeah.
And now, years later, wow, the Sanctum experiences are now a global thing. You're in Dubai, you're in London, obviously in Amsterdam. That's where it's originated. Tell me more about how this whole Sanctum, I would say, it's not even, I always find a lack of words to explain what really Sanctum experiences are. I think it's more of a community movement.
Yeah.
It's a community fitness movement. Again, fitness doesn't, I'm not satisfied with that word. So tell me, how do you explain what you do? And of course, give us a little bit of the background of how did you get to create something like this?
Yeah, that is a very good question. And I sometimes also wonder myself, like, how the hell did this happen over the last few years? And to speak about it like this is for me also actually a great moment to go back to the origins. And I think I have to go back to who I was as a child. I grew up in Amsterdam. And my mom was always my biggest fan. She knew always that I had something creative within me. So when I was 6, she took me to a theater show, and she knew maybe theater is going to be something for Luuk so he can express his creative mind. And I fell in love with theater. The emotions around it, the music around it, the drama around it, the magic around it. And so I started theater classes and dance classes, and very soon that became quite a serious thing in my life. And I ended up at the Academy for Ballet when I was 11 years old. And a few years later, I found myself on stage in musical theater, which was an amazing chapter in my life. But I felt that there was something missing.
What was missing?
I think ownership of certain things. As an actor and a dancer, you are quite dependent on casting directors, on casting in general. And I always had a feeling like, there is something that I still need to explore. You probably know that. Or when you look back at your experiences, and at that moment, you couldn't tell why, but there was something still not right. And that's okay. It's a part of your path, right? So we find out multiple things that work for us, and it all shapes us also into learning more about ourselves. What works for me, what doesn't work for me. So I actually left the theater community and my theater career at quite a young age. I think it was 23. Naturally, I ended up in...
you quit completely.
I quit completely.
Wow.
So I gave myself 1 year off.
A big step.
I said, hey, I gave myself 1 year because I only had shows in a row. So I didn't have any holidays, and it just went on. And I thought to myself, it can go on for years like this.
Absolutely.
But then I wake up maybe when I'm 31 and I think back and I think, hey, is this really what I wanted? So I gave myself a gap year, and I thought to myself, I can always come back. And I actually did something really interesting. I defined a few areas I wanted to work at. And I called people who I knew from that scene, and I said, I want to work with you. You don't have to pay me, but for a few months, I can work with you. I can be your intern. It's like an unofficial internship. And maybe afterwards you want to hire me or not, but then I at least know how it works.
Beautiful.
So I worked in the TV scene, I worked in the event space, and actually that was very helpful for me to learn what I want and what I don't want. And one element where I ended up was the sports scene, right? So I ended up as a cycle instructor, reformer Pilates before it was actually a big hype. And that was quite easy for me. It went natural to me. But I still, again, felt that I was missing something. My mom was a medium, so she was really spiritual. And she passed away, you know that, when I was 21. And a few months before she passed away, she was sick, so we saw it coming. And it was actually very valuable to have those talks with her. Because when somebody passes away, you suddenly have the urgency to speak about bigger things, which you didn't speak about before. And I asked her, Mom, what do I need to do? Do you have any tips? Or like, you know, I was 21 and your mom is always like a very special person here. And she said, look, I want you to explore the talent and skill that I have. It's gonna embody in a different way, but I want you to explore it. So that was the moment I started to explore more spiritual practices. I dove into meditation, I dove into Kundalini yoga, I dove into martial arts, and I just started to pay trips to Sri Lanka, to India, and I actually found myself really, really inspired by those practices. I met Gab, my partner, and also the co-founder of Sanctum, already 11 years ago, so that is quite a while ago. So I was exploring my own spirituality, I was teaching sport classes, and I was still finding out, what do I want in this life? And then suddenly COVID happened, and everything shut down. And before COVID, I was always a part of a studio. So if I was teaching a class, I had to teach that concept. But they always told me in every single studio, Luuk, you talk too much. There's too much storytelling. It goes too deep. We don't want to hear about dying
That
in your
is
class.
the best part.
Just be happy in your class and don't go too deep, right? Because people don't want to go so deep. And then COVID happened, and I was locked down in my house, and I was speaking with Gab, and we already had an idea or the dream to open up our own concepts. And then we thought, you know what? Let's just do something online. Let's just give something back to the world. And I started this Instagram live videos. You still know it from COVID. People started to do those Instagram lives.
Yes.
And I just did my own thing in a living room. And it was a little bit of high intensity. There was a little bit of storytelling. There was a little bit of meditation. And the views every single week went up and up and up and up every time we organized it.
I actually didn't know this. This is so cool. I'm learning something new.
And that was the moment where we thought, maybe I'm just gonna write a class based on all the things that I like. So Kundalini yoga, martial arts, high intensity movement, some somatic movement and dance, and the power of music, because I love good music, from, you know, club music to classical music to spoken word. And very natural, behind my laptop, I started to write it out. And Gab is a brand builder. He is a marketeer. So he put his ideas to it about, hey, can we make this maybe a brand or an idea? And everything happened in such small, beautiful steps. You were speaking about Paulo Coelho. Maybe you want to share it later. And you asked him about how The Alchemist what was being written. And he said, I have no idea. And I have a little bit the same with Sanctum. So when I go back to all those steps, I think it went so naturally. And I didn't have any idea about how big it will become. Or, of course, the moment when we started writing it out, I created like yearly goals, and we met all those yearly goals. But when I look back at it, things just happened for us. So I wrote out the class, and we were on a birthday party, and we saw a friend. And the friend, she owns a few buildings in Amsterdam. And I told them about the concept. And she said, Luuk, I have no idea what you're speaking about. It sounds really, really weird, but it's COVID. My buildings are empty. Use my studio. Just use it for a few months and organize your classes. So it was a little wedding chapel in the basement of a canal house in Amsterdam. So people had to ring a secret bell, and then they walked in. And suddenly we attracted, and we filled it with candles, and we had loud music. And I did my class there. So it was secret because it was lockdown. So we were not allowed to do anything.
Rule breakers.
And the funny thing is, we attracted the wealthy ladies from Amsterdam that came in with their Birkin bag. They threw it on the floor, and they started sweating and moving because they needed to release something in that class. And that was for me, when I saw that happening, I was like, yes, we are onto something. We need an authentic experience where we can release ourselves. I have been working on the sequence only, but we have a way bigger purpose in this world. We need authentic experiences. We literally need to throw our bags on the floor, our identity on the floor. And the moment you put your headphones on, you can just be you. And that was actually the moment where the whole ball started rolling, where we thought, hey, the bigger mission of Sanctum is creating a connection in this world, a connection with yourself and with other people. So that is what happened 5 years ago. That is one little...
Did you always foresee that it will become such a spiritual experience? Because the way I personally, whenever I do the class, there's something that happens during the experience that there's this je ne sais quoi, like you can't quite put the finger on. And is it something that naturally formed, or you had the intention? Obviously, your mom was quite spiritual. You were diving into spirituality through different experiences or spiritual wisdoms. But was that the intention, or that just, again, naturally happened?
I don't think it was the intention. Because when I look back at Sanctum 5 years ago, it was very, very different. So I think Sanctum changed parallel with how I changed.
Absolutely.
5 years ago, I'm still not wise, but I was very much external, beauty focused. I wanted to be perfect, still want to be perfect, but I'm managing it a little bit better. But it was very much about the movement and the class and the workout. We called it a workout. And the moment I started to do it more, and there were some classes I was so very much speaking from my heart, those were the moments where I'm like, wow, what is happening here? What is coming out of my mouth? I need to explore this because it's not me. There is something coming out here that takes over. And that became my personal spiritual journey, and actually my journey of what is my voice in this world. And I realized that that is my skill and maybe my mission for at least these years in my life, that I need to use my voice. And I want to train other people in expanding this movement, because there's only one way to scale up a movement.
Absolutely.
And that is by training other people and helping other people to do so as well. So very soon I realized that part as well.
Of course. And now you have so many people who guide the same classes again in London. You travel a lot. And now you have so many different locations in London and in Dubai as well. I'm not sure if it's one or multiple. So if you guys are in London or Dubai, definitely check out Sanctum Experiences.
So we have daily classes in Dubai. We have now 30 guides already that host our experiences. And next month, we're going to open up our movement in Stockholm as well.
Wow,
so
congrats.
That's going to be market number 4.
Wow, this is going global, and we're just getting started.
May I ask you one thing? When you enter, maybe not the first Sanctum class, but maybe the few classes after, what is it that you release in class, or what you need to release on a daily basis, living your life in London, traveling, being a mom?
I think we're all holding on to so much. And there's a book I read years ago called The Body Keeps the Score. I'm sure you've read it as well, which is all about how trauma is stored. And this is not just childhood trauma. This is any kind of trauma or anything that happens where, let's say you're at work and something happened and you didn't feel safe to release it, or in any relationship and you hold on to things and you suppress, and then you go to an experience like Sanctum where you're doing these movements, you're doing this breathing, and out of a sudden your eyes are watering and you're like, what the F is going on? Why am I crying? But then you're like, oh, okay. Like there's an inner knowing that knows what is being released, which is oftentimes, I feel like, the numbing of the emotions that we are suppressing throughout the day. And what I love now that I go to classes, because I've been going for years, it's much lighter for me, which it doesn't mean I never cry anymore, but it just feels much lighter. So I feel almost like there's a progression of
Yeah.
my experience and how I feel like, and also my body, because it's a workout as well. It's just so much easier. Whereas before, mentally, I was like, I don't know if I can survive through this thing. Even though I do work out and I'm quite fit, sometimes you feel like it's intense, but it's a workout you do with yourself in a way. Because again, everybody's wearing headphones, you're screaming, you're making all these noises and sounds that again allow you to release the stored emotions. But it's you with you. So you don't need to make it perfect. And what I love when you do the workouts, you always say, make it ugly. And then you're almost like have been given permission to allow yourself to go at your own pace.
Yeah.
So you become aware of all these things while you're there on this mat, yoga mat, doing this experience. You're like, nobody's forcing me to do it perfect. Nobody's forcing me to do it this fast. I can just make it my own. But it's an experience. You have to go to a few classes to like get comfortable in the experience. So that's me, I would say, in my experience on the other side. I feel so much more comfortable now going to a class, and I've taken so many friends, and I'll be speaking at Sanctum Frequency Festival end of this week as well. Very grateful to be part of it. Look, I'm curious, would you say you're living the life of your dreams right now?
Yes, I'm living the life of my dreams.
Because you used to be a dancer, as you mentioned. And as a dancer, you mentioned again, there's this limit as far as you can create unless you have your own production and you're becoming the director of the show and this performance that you're putting on. Whereas here, you're a performer, you're leading on stage, you get to create your own show, your own class, and then you get to travel the world. And it's much deeper than just providing people entertainment, what a dancer would do, although that has its own benefits. Here, people are learning to move with you in the same way. And again, they're healing, they're releasing. I can imagine that probably feels very fulfilling.
Exactly.
Like living your dream life doesn't mean your life is perfect, right? I'm not saying it's perfect, but are you aware that this is like pretty incredible, right?
Definitely, I'm aware of it, but not enough, I think, right? Because there are so many things we are working on, and but if I look back, and if I look back at my theater career and all the things I spoke about, all the things that I missed in those previous lives, let's call it that way, it's all the same, actually led me to where I am right now. But the moment where I am right now will also lead in my future. So I really started to believe in a law of impermanence, right? So to not hold on to certain moments because everything will change. And that is what I try to do, and that's why my reaction might be a little bit modest. I want to stay grounded with everything that happens, right? And that is also with success. And I'm super grateful for the success that we have. And every day when I wake up, I feel like, wow, I'm living my dream. But I also want to stay humble and don't attach myself too much to it. Because I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I don't know what's going to happen next year. So that is for me a practice I try to embody in order to stay calm and grounded.
Absolutely. And you definitely, I can see that you do embody that, where you do possess the quality of gratitude, and yet you're kind of focused on what is present now, again in the moment. And at the same time, because you have been able to achieve this vision that you created, more than 5 years ago now, I'm curious, what do you have to say to someone who is basically just getting started? Maybe they have a vision, but they don't even know how to take the first step.
Ooh,
How can
I love
someone
that
create
question.
this dream
Yes.
vision?
First of all, find something that is really yours. Because if you're gonna copy something, and it's not necessarily consciously copying, but it can also be subconsciously copying, because you see that there is a trend in the world, and that's why you're also gonna open up your matcha tea brand. Which I'm not saying that it's bad to open up a matcha tea brand. I want to open a matcha. But you know what I mean, right? So I think you first really have to think, is this idea really mine? Or am I influenced by other people around me, or movements around me, or trends around me? Of course, use the trends, but first feel, is this idea really mine? The second thing, and this is really Oprah Winfrey who actually inspired me on this one, is the people and brands that have the biggest success do something which has a service for a bigger group, a service for the world, a service for the planet. And that is something I really realize more and more and more. Every business decision I take, I actually ask myself, am I making this decision from an ego perspective, or is this going to bring a bigger service in this world? And every time, I mean it, every time I made a decision from an ego perspective, it went wrong. Every time I do something with a bigger service in my mind, it goes well, because it's a win-win. You give something back to the world, and the world gives it back to you. The final thing I want to say about this, and you probably know that as well, if you want to create a company or your own dream or your own vision or your own philosophy, do the work. And you have to become obsessive with it. You have to say no to a lot of things. You will have sleepless nights. You will walk against closed doors. So I think that's a really important part of that, right? So yes, I believe in manifesting. Yes, I believe in the bigger service and the dreams. But then there's 90% hard work. Absolutely. And it's not always fun. You have to do a lot of things that you have no idea about how to do it, but that is also a super important part of it. And sometimes I see a little bit that part is forgotten, especially when you look at successful people on Instagram. You only see the end result. And that is, I think, a problem of this day's world. We often only see the end result of a lot of hard work. So I want to emphasize that part as well. I think it's a very important one.
I think it's all very practical and something that anyone can really reflect on and ask whether they are doing it yet or not. Because I do agree with everything you've said. If you actually implement all these things, you're going to see traction in whatever direction you want to take. I love how disciplined you are. I messaged you yesterday and we were talking about Instagram, and you said, I can't use Instagram right now because I have this app that's blocking Instagram until later in the evening. And I was like, wow, like that requires a high level of discipline, but not just that, even in the work that you do. I know how, again, intense you are with your dedication to your craft and the vision of what you're building and what you bring into the world. How can someone build discipline? Because I think a lot of us, especially I think the younger generation that has been raised on these devices, and there's so much chaos, there's so much distraction, and there's so much of us being pulled in different directions. How can we build discipline? Because I completely agree that success is directly correlated with discipline. I think I am personally today, because I used to play the piano. I didn't like playing the piano. I wanted to be a dancer, but my mom is a piano teacher. So in a way, she not exactly forced me, but maybe a gentler word, encouraged me to play the piano. And even though I resented all those years, now as an adult, for example, looking back, I know that I am here today because I learned to do something really well, even though I didn't really want to do it, but I had to do it. So now anytime I have to do something, I know I can do it because I've done it before. So I'm curious, what is that for you? How did you build this discipline?
I think there is a saying, right? It creates 21 days to get something in your mind. It's a certain amount of days to create a habit, and it takes 1,000 days or 10,000 hours to master something. And I think you were the perfect example. Look at the calisthenics work you were doing, or the primal movement. I love that.
Love it.
But every time I see your videos, I see how motivated you are. So that brings me to what is so important about discipline. I think the most important thing about discipline is know why you are doing it.
Sure.
And the bigger picture. And you see that every time you stay longer in that L seat, or you do your handstand a little bit better, you know that your bigger goal is to create that handstand. It's just like a cool goal to have, like an extra goal in your life. And of course, maybe you are tired one day and you don't want to do it, but then you remind yourself of that bigger picture. And that is what I do with myself when I think about discipline. A few years ago, I found out that Sanctum actually is based on a few pillars of the body. The physical body, the emotional body, and the energetic body. So everything at Sanctum, in the whole philosophy and the whole sequence, is based on those three bodies. And I believe that those three bodies work together. And sometimes you work a little bit more in your physical body, sometimes it's like a balance thing.
Yeah.
So that brought me to the conclusion that if I want to embody that, I need to take care of those three bodies. So why do I block my Instagram in the evening? Because I need to take care of my energetic body. And my nervous system needs to relax before I go to bed. And I know myself, I'm going to start scrolling before going to bed and I won't stop. So I needed an app that blocks everything and there's no way for me to get in.
What is this app? Tell everyone.
It's called Opal.
Yeah, Opal. I'm going to give it a try.
And I'm not sponsored by Opal.
Please do sponsor us.
Exactly.
I'm going to give it a try. Yeah.
So for me, I knew and I know my bigger why. I want to take care of my three bodies. And that's why I need a certain discipline. For instance, I need to do yoga classes or sport classes wherever I am because I need to move, especially when I travel so much. I need more. I have my therapy sessions because I need to take care of my emotional body. So everything is about taking care of those three bodies.
I love
and
this.
I am not perfect, right? So I still doom scroll. I still eat snacks on the airport. So I don't want to paint a picture here that I'm perfect, but I do have awareness, I think, and that is, I think, an important
and the intention, I think, so powerful to have intentions in life. And even if you are not fully there, but you're there 60% of the time, it's already better than nothing.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love what you have shared. I'm curious, Luuk, is there a belief you have recently outgrown? Because so much of who we are comes from beliefs, whether positive or limiting.
Yeah.
And even with this journey of calisthenics, for example, that I've been on for only like a few months now, as I'm practicing these inversions, I've never been able to do a cartwheel or even a handstand by the wall supported. Never in my life. And I realized that, for example, I have outgrown the belief that I cannot do it. Like, I'm not graceful or flexible. I'll never be able to do a handstand because I'm just too inflexible, and because I've never done it, I must be bad at it. And here I am now, being like 3 months later, able to get myself and even hold it for a few seconds off the wall. It feels so empowering.
So what was your limiting belief there?
That I cannot do it, that I'm not good enough for whatever reason. I mean, you can say I'm not good enough because I'm not graceful or flexible, or because simply I've never taken gymnastics or any kind of calisthenics. Although I did it for a short time for posture when I was younger, but never like complicated things. Like, not complicated, but like inversions is pretty intense, right? You are learning to hold your whole body on your hands. And my goal is to do it off the wall eventually, but even being able to do it next to the wall, because I've never been able to do that. It's outgrowing that belief that my body has certain limits.
Yeah.
And it just feels so empowering to outgrow that belief. And that's why I'm drawn more into this journey of calisthenics now, for example, is that I want to see what else can I do? What else can I prove to myself?
The curiosity.
What other beliefs can I outgrow? So I'm curious.
And I think I'm always so inspired by the wisdom you carry within yourself. And I think the curiosity, right? So it's not, you don't walk around telling people all the wisdoms you have. You're actually really curious. And your calisthenics journey is, for me, like a great example of that. Right? You do so much more, but I think it shows how curious you are into your own growth. And I'm not avoiding your question. I think I'm going to be really honest. I think one belief that I am outgrowing is I don't need validation from other people.
Tell me more. What do you mean by that?
Well, this is like a big thing I'm working on. My mom was my beautiful supporter, but she also had a lot of problems in her life. She ended up having a problem with addiction. So I had quite some situations at the home when I was a teenager. My parents divorced because of that, and because of that, I created a limiting belief: I'm not good enough, and I need other people to validate me. And that's exactly the reason why I became an actor and a dancer, because I had literally full theaters and an audience that would applaud me. And when I look back at all the things I did in my life, everything is connected with getting validation from other people. Also Sanctum. And that's okay. Um, but one thing, and it really struck me only like a few months ago, like, wow, when do I actually find validation for myself? Because the validation of other people will never fulfill the emptiness that I get when I don't give myself the validation. So that is something which is still quite fresh, but the moment I saw it, and I saw like a flashback of my whole life and all those moments where I was actually trying to just find validation, I need to find validation from myself, and that has to do with my younger self. And I want to give my younger self a little bit more love. And I want to hold my younger self a little bit more.
So beautiful. Thank you for being so vulnerable and sharing that. I feel like a lot of us can resonate to the part of not being good enough.
Yeah.
And yet it takes a certain level of courage then to be out there and say, hey, well, just because I don't feel good enough, I'm going to go and lead and
prove
create,
myself more. Yeah.
Right? I feel like a lot of what I have done might also come from not good enough. And I love the fact that we could say that this not good enough is our shadow, right? And I think it's so important to embody our shadows, because the shadow is not always bad, right?
Exactly.
It can be the fuel to drive you in the direction of your dreams and success. And I think as long as you're aware of it, and as long as you're checking in with yourself, for example, I do love the validation when I create content, but I also enjoy just the creative process. So I'm very aware when I create content. I have this inner conversation, for example, with myself, where I will ask myself, are you doing this for the views, or are you doing this because you want to create this and put it out there because you know it's going to inspire others, whether it's going to be 5 people who will watch it and you're actually enjoying the process? Because I've been long enough in this world of social media that I know how to create a video tomorrow that will go trendy and go like 20 million views, right? For example, bikini pictures, right? But that's just one simple example. But I don't want to do that. Nothing wrong with people who do bikini pictures, and maybe one day I'll post some, or even a video. Like I've done workouts with bikini, so I don't want to completely say that. But it's like, does it resonate with who I am today, and do I enjoy the process?
Do you think this is linked with doing something with a bigger surface in your mind?
I think absolutely. If I know that what I'm doing has a bigger mission, like for example, even now I'm sharing my journey with calisthenics. And I know that other people watching, they're going to get inspired by this journey, and they're going to get moving. They're going to spend less time on the screen, and they're going to get their body in a new shape that they never thought they would. And then also the mental expansion that's going to have. I'm so excited, but also I'm a bit selfish because I'm the one enjoying the process. So at the end of the day, I make sure that I'm the one having fun, and I'm doing this for myself first. Because I know if I do it for myself first, and validation, is part of it. It's nice to have the validation, but I'm very conscious not to do it just for the validation, is what I'm trying to say. That's a very long way to explain it.
And it can be a win-win, right? So when I speak about, not feeling good enough, which I think 90% of the people can relate with that, it doesn't mean that I have to throw that away. The ego is not a bad thing. Your shadow parts of yourself are not something to throw away. So I think it's also really good to embrace those elements, as long as you find awareness with it, and maybe almost play around with it. Like, hey, This is my insecurity speaking.
Yes.
Hello. I see
Absolutely.
you. It's okay. It's okay to find validation. It's okay to be insecure at some moments, because we tend to ask so much of ourselves and everything needs to be perfect, and it kills us.
Absolutely. I remember listening to this therapist years ago, and I had this phase where I listened to so many, so I don't remember her name right now. I think it's Brianna, but I can't remember her surname. But she said something really powerful. She said, how secure we are is directly determined with our relationship with our insecurities. So again, how comfortable we are with our insecurities is what makes us secure. Because if you're not even aware that you have this insecurity, it's in the shadow, like you're not aware, you're oblivious, right? The moment you can say, I enjoy having a bit of validation, or I can get angry sometimes, or I can, whatever that shadow is, the power over you is not so strong anymore. And it's almost like it's in the light, and you can laugh about it. And actually, you have less of it, I think, once you put it into the light.
Was there for you a moment where there was a clear moment where you suddenly saw that insecurity of yourself and you embrace it?
I think for me, fears have always been something that I would say limited me. So yeah, I constantly still see the fear and the limit. And I look it in the face and I say, hi, nice to see you. You're not going to stop me. You're not going to stop me. So it's befriending the fear, because I think for me, that's been the bigger theme, is learning to trust and let go of control, because the fear and the control are so directly connected. You think you can control, but you want to control because you're afraid, right? And the moment you can trust that you're held and you have this faith that you'll be okay, you relax in the fear and you let go of control and things start flowing.
And is that something that you directly saw the effect of when you started to
100%. Every time I face my fear, Luke, I get to the next level of my evolution, whether in work, whether in relationships, whether in friendships, most importantly, in my own relationship with myself, right? This is the ultimate relationship that we will always have. We experience this whole experience of life inside of our body. You can be in this golden palace with oysters and champagne and grapes, and if you're miserable on the inside, if you're surrounded by naked men or naked women, like, you know, this opulence, like everything could be here served to you. And if you're not happy on the inside, it's worth nothing, right? But if you are good on the inside, like if you genuinely wake up with a smile because you have a purpose, you know your intention, you're connected to your values, you embrace your shadows, you love your inner child, no matter what happens, yes, you will be sad. Yes, you will have moments of fear or anxiety, but you calibrate so much faster. And you just make the best of what you have. Whether you have a lot, you can be grateful, or you have a little, you can be equally grateful. And I've come to a place where I'm there most of the time. Yeah, a lot to most. I still have my moments of chaos and you know, downpours, because I'm a human.
Exactly.
And I've learned to give myself grace with that.
And that is something what I find so inspiring about you. I think you hit the certain spiritual elements. I'm not a native English speaker. Would you say on the nail? You hit it on the nail?
Yeah.
You hit it on the nail. And we started speaking about Vipassana, right? We both did this.
I love that you brought it up. I was literally going to bring it up, and you read my mind.
Quite of an extreme journey and experience, a philosophy originally from Buddha, and a meditation technique where in the first time you do it for 10 days and you meditate for around 12 hours a day, even more.
So intense.
And one thing you were speaking about right now makes me think of that, and that was my biggest insight at Vipassana, is you can never have control over the situation around you, but you can always have control over your reaction. And it sounds so simple, and it sounds like a beautiful Instagram quote, but the more you think about it, the more it really is the truth. And the moment I find myself worrying about an outside situation or things that happens outside of me, the more I realize the only thing I have control over is my own reaction. And that is so freeing, because then it literally doesn't matter what happens in your life. You can always choose how you react. And there is always there's a moment between your reaction and what is happening, right? And for some people, that space between is zero. So they react straight away to things. And I think the power is in taking a breath, seeing first, hey, what is happening within myself? Hey, fear. This is fear speaking. Oh, hey, this is excitement speaking. Hey, this is my ego speaking. Hey, I want to have validation. I'm going to say yes to it. The moment you take some time between the action and the reaction, I think that is gold into who we are.
I love that you brought this up. And I love that we both experienced Vipassana. For sure, it was life-changing for me. I did it years ago. I was in my mid-20s, going through a lot of anxiety, panic attacks, depression. I was on my lowest. And even though that was the first year of our business and everything was great, we made our first million, I just got married. Like, again, on the outside, I was like living the life of my dreams, or starting to live that life. And on the inside, I was the most anxious, depressed. And going there and learning to just sit with whatever is arising and not react and not think the worst case scenario has truly given me a completely different perspective on life and a different power that I to this day embody. I think anytime also we do something big, right? We embody our full potential. There will be people who will be triggered by your growth and expansion.
Maybe,
right, they will judge. They will be triggered by you.
Yeah.
And that is okay. And I think the biggest gift I've also received from Vipassana is learning not to react to what other people think of me. But I realize how most people, they will be so afraid to do something that's out of the ordinary because they know that they're going to get this reaction. People will judge them or think they're weird or whatever judgment is, doesn't really matter. And they won't step out of their comfort zone. And I think Vipassana teaches you to have compassion for others. So if someone is judging you, I'm like, that's okay. That's their lens that they're seeing the world. And you know what? It's valid. Valid based on their experiences, their suffering. I'm sending love, and it has nothing to do with me.
And you can still choose to not let it affect you.
Absolutely.
And those realities can happen next to each other. Somebody can be against you or has a different opinion. And in this world, I think we need to also realize that a little bit and accept that we can all have different opinions. And we can even have a discussion about certain things.
Absolutely.
But it doesn't mean we have to hate each other in a way.
Or if we are different religions, right? It's okay. You can choose to believe in that religion, and it's beautiful and it's pure, as long as you don't try to make me embody your religion. And I think a lot of times people try to enforce what they believe in. Is actually there's a hidden insecurity. Because if you are so strongly believing in whatever you're believing, whether it's a spiritual wisdom, religion, anything, right? You don't need to go and be like, you must do it too. You must believe in this God.
Exactly.
Why the all you need to do is embody that. And if you truly embody that, everybody will come to your movement, your religion, whatever it is, because you're going to be giving off so much beautiful energy and magnetism that people won't be able to stand it. They will come and tell me, what are you drinking? What are you reading? What are you doing? I want to do that. And I think this is something I reflect on a lot, because again, there's so much noise out there, and I'm thinking, just do it. Really, just do it, embody it. And you won't have to go out there screaming whatever it is that you're trying to teach.
So you were thinking a lot about who you are, and you do a lot of work also in making this world a better place through all the expressions of your work. What would you say is your mission at this moment?
Wow, that is a really big question, Luuk. I am currently studying Kabbalah, and I've been studying it for almost a year. And what I love about, for anyone who doesn't know Kabbalah, it's not religion, it's spiritual wisdom. And that's why I resonate with it so much, because I don't want to subscribe to anything that is just like singular. And that the concept of Kabbalah very much resonates because it's all about ownership, taking responsibility of what's in your life. Going back to the mission, what resonates with Kabbalah, it's all about revealing more light, right? And it assumes that the creator always wants to give you more blessings. The creator wants you to have a better life. The creator wants you to have more love, more abundance. But we are the ones often who self-sabotage by keeping our vessel small. So oftentimes we'll hear stories, somebody wins a lottery and then they spend everything. Not do they only spend everything, they end up getting in debt. Or you might attract this incredible person, but then you'll sabotage it, or a friendship, or a business opportunity. You don't do the things on the right time, or you don't send the invoice, or we all do these things that self-sabotage what we actually wanted to attract. And what I really love, again, about this idea of light is that we all come from light. And my mission is to express more light, to act like the light, be like the light. So anytime anything happens, I bring it up to myself and I say, well, how can I be the light in this situation? Either for myself, if I'm struggling, if I'm in pain, if I'm sad or feeling any kind of negative emotion, like how can I be the light? It's okay to feel it, but how can I be the light at the end of it and not dwell in it? Or for someone else in my life, or as I'm sharing anything, because I do have the power and the platform and I take that as a big responsibility. How can I act like the light? So I think I don't like to be boxed in terms of like, for the rest of my life, I have to now do wellness. Although I feel like I will end up in wellness because I'm all about wellness. It's my natural passion. But whether I'm doing something in like self-development or beauty or physical movements, it's how can I reveal more light through my work.
And what are parts of Mimi that other people don't see?
I love how you turn the tables. Okay, last question and we'll go back to you. What are the parts of Mimi that people don't see? I suppose I do try to show more of my imperfect self because I'm a bit like clumsy and I'm so imperfect. And at the same time, whether I would be on camera or not, I put on this outfit, I put on the makeup, I do my hair because it makes me feel good. I work out. So I do all these things that make me feel better. I read books that can help me. And at the same time, inside there's this like little sweet child that has no clue what's happening and is just trying to figure it out. And I have my moments where, again, people think I'm so confident, but I always tell people I'm someone who has literally faced every possible fear you can imagine. I have faced it. From being afraid to lock the bathroom door, to taking the lift on my own, to flying, like any fear that to someone could be like, oh, I don't want to think when I do this. I've had that fear. So to be able to have basic fears and manage to overcome them and still do the things that you're terrified of doing. That's why I'm here, I think. It's because I've been facing them. So I think people don't realize how imperfect I am actually, and how, someone you admire can be just as chaotic, if not more chaotic than you are, and still find a way to manage and create success and abundance and love and incredible relationships. What about you, Luuk? What are the parts of you that people don't really see? Because you don't share too much of yourself on social media as well. Obviously, you are there. You're a great storyteller. I love when you share stories. But as a Scorpio, there's a lot of you that is very private. And I admire that. I think that's beautiful and that is very intentional. But if you were to give us a little glimpse into...
Yeah, that's a great question. I think parts of me that other people don't see is the exhaustion sometimes. I'm so fortunate with Sanctum, and Gab and I have a little bit the same of the personality traits. When we go for something, we go for it, right? And we feel the traction and we have the sense of urgency for what we do. But if I'm honest with you, I sometimes end up being so exhausted.
I can imagine.
Because you go from one trip to the other, to an event here, flying, and after 2 weeks of traveling and living out of a suitcase, and which is amazing, sometimes I end up having an evening for myself and I'm just exhausted.
Yeah.
And I just don't want to speak with people.
I
And
get
that is a
it.
part that some people don't see. I'm really, really blessed with a really small group of friends who I feel really, really safe with. And they are the ones that always send me messages and say, hey, I know it looks really, really beautiful, but I also know that you must be really tired. Can you say no to this dinner? Or can you just today do nothing? So there are a few people who see that part of me as well. And with all the success and beautiful things that are happening, I think a really important element in my life is boundaries. And I'm working better with boundaries and saying yes to certain things and saying no to certain things as well in order to not end up being exhausted.
I love that you brought up this topic of boundaries as well, because I think boundaries is something a lot of my friends struggle with. I personally am very good with I believe I'm very good with my boundaries for the most part. But I have a lot of friends who are a bit more feminine than me, and they're like, yes, and they're so sweet. And then they become pushovers, right? So how can someone who is struggling with personal boundaries learn to build them? Because you're on this journey as well.
But one thing I learned, I think I learned it from our friend Boniface, and it's such a simple theory. Everything has two sides of the coin. So the moment you say no to something, you say yes to the opposite. So the moment I say no to a dinner with people I don't know, which can be really fun, I say yes to an evening with Gab. The moment I say no to an extra travel trip, I say yes to creating maybe a new class for myself or a new platform or whatever it is. So everything has two sides. So if you say, because I hate to say no, right? So I struggle with it. I'm a people pleaser. I know that. But for me to realize what is on the other side, and it's actually a win, so you don't lose only, you actually win as well when you say no to certain things. Then it suddenly becomes something that is justified in a way.
What about people feeling like too sensitive to say no because of how other people might feel? Or do you struggle with that? Or
yeah, I struggle with that. But I'm really learning to let that go. And to also know I have to be the best version of myself. And sometimes it means disappointing other people at that moment. And I get my priorities quite clear and straight. Like, who is important in my life? Everybody is important, of course, but you can only give a certain amount of energy to people around you, and you don't want to burn out yourself. Maybe it's the age, I don't know, but that is something
You're so young. Come on. Luuk, what is one habit in your day that is absolutely non-negotiable?
Meditation.
Tell me, do you do Vipassana now?
Well, I don't do 1 hour in the morning and 1 hour in the night. That's really too long. But I need to meditate in the morning and in the evening. Sometimes it's 5 minutes. Sometimes it's 30 minutes.
Love it.
Sometimes it's 1 hour, but that hardly happens. But I need to do that twice a day. That's just my habit.
First thing in the morning, right before you go to sleep?
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, and I just do it very simple with a timer on my phone, and I see how much time I have. But that is a non-negotiable. And whenever I'm in an airplane, I have all the Vipassana meditations from Mr. Goenka downloaded on my phone. So depending on how long my flight is, I always do a meditation in the airplane. So that really works for me.
Thank you for the reminder, because I was very consistent for a long time. And this, by the way, just shows how powerful the practice is, because I feel like I'm still reaping the benefits of what I've done years ago. And I will go every once in a while through a phase where I'm very consistent, and then I completely drop off the habit. Like right now, I'm not doing it. I'll be completely honest. But about a month ago, I was doing it for like a short time, like before sleep. But when I do it, I'm curious if you feel the same. Even if it's just 10 minutes, and I sit down and I don't even get to Vipassana, I just do Anapana, which is basically just focusing on your breath.
Your breath,
Just your breath. We're not going into scanning the body. All these creative ideas come up.
Exactly.
And I just want to stop myself and be like, I need to write this down. What if I forget? But that's the mind trying to trick you. But it's absolutely incredible. It's almost like shaking this
Exactly.
jar with glitter or whatever is inside. And then when you meditate, like everything just
Yes.
goes down
It
so much.
settles
You
down.
see what is important.
Yeah.
Or I will have certain insights like, I need to call this person, I need to fix this relationship, I need to respond to that email, or like everything becomes so clear. So I love that you brought this up. I think I need to get back
Yeah.
into the habit.
The biggest insights I get when I meditate, and out of nothing it comes. And I heard somebody speaking about this. The word inspiration is from the Latin word inspire, I believe. Is to actually receive and to inhale and to give breath to something. And when you think about inspiration, inspiration never comes when you sit behind your laptop and you're like, now I have to get inspired. And inspiration always comes at the weirdest moments.
Yep.
And I believe, but it's me, that inspiration comes from somewhere outside of you. And you need to create space to open up your vessel to receive that inspiration. And whatever it is, maybe it is dancing, maybe it is meditation. So I'm not telling everybody here to meditate, but find those moments where you can step out of your daily monkey mind and where you can open yourself up to new things.
Thank you for sharing that. And to wrap this up, I have one final question. I know your mom, sadly, I never got to meet her, but she is someone who deeply inspires you. Oftentimes, when you're leading the classes, you'll bring a certain wisdom or a quote or a book that she has read and she passed on her wisdom. What is, if you were to summarize maybe everything she has taught you, I know it's going to be very difficult, but what is the main nugget of wisdom that your mom has left you with that you believe you embody, or at least you aspire to embody?
There's many things, but there's one thing that is coming to my mind right now. I have at home a little jar, a steel jar, and after she passed away, I dove into her notebooks because she loved to write. She was a writer as well, and she wrote little poems. And a few months ago, I just opened up that jar and I took one of her poems. And I'm getting a little bit emotional when I think about it. The poem said, it was in Dutch, so I'm going to translate. For my future famous son, who you are on the outside doesn't count, but who you are on the inside is everything who you are. And I read it a few months ago. She had no idea how my life would look like. And now I'm here, sitting in a podcast studio with you. And to hear from your own mom, it doesn't matter how your life looks like on the outside. The only thing that counts is who you are on the inside and how you feel and how you take care of yourself and how you love yourself and other people.
And I love that she mentioned to my future famous son, because she knew that your emphasis on the inside is actually what's going to bring you the external success.
Don't focus on the external.
That's something important to note here, right?
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing this.
Thank you.
I love this conversation. I feel like you and I could talk for hours. So I think we'll do a part 2 at some point.
Yes.
Keep shining your light. For anyone who is listening or watching this, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram, and you can find the page of Sanctum. We are Sanctum. So you can find our website, wearesanctum.com, and We Are Sanctum. We have daily classes in Amsterdam, London, Dubai, soon Stockholm. We have amazing international retreats and appearances, and we have our yearly frequency festival, which is going to be sort of a world tour next year. So
amazing. And your personal Instagram?
Luuk Melisse.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
What a pleasure.